Hello there. This is Yetmir, your moderator. I'm very excited to kick off this interview. So welcome to Wild Talks. Again, my name is Yetmir Troshani, your moderator. Wild Talks, it's a recent concept we came up with, a chain of interviews, if you will, aiming at connecting with our community through the experiences of wildlife photographers around Europe. So here we are today. I would like to introduce Nicky, who is our first wildlife photographer to kickstart this new chapter for Wild Europe. Nicky Stoyanov was born in the exciting city of Sofia, Bulgaria. His early childhood days were marked by Gary Durrell's books, The African Adventures of Joey Adamson and her lioness Elsa, together with his grandmother as inspiration. He loved visiting the zoo, where he continued to build the connection with nature and animals. Nicky oftentimes then also went hiking hiking where he first started his volunteer work. In his teen years, while he took care of the wounded Magpies, he also started to develop his passion for music and sound, as well as his interest for engineering, which was clearly noticed during this time. Later on, he successfully graduated as sound engineer, where his professional career dived through video production studios and several big well-known music labels. A change in the course winded him back to his engineering skills, where he ended up supervising regional well-known facility management and engineering teams for the renowned insurance corporation, AIG, and other esteemed companies in conjunction. He started wildlife photography in 2011 as a way to explore nature by registering his personal observation, one photography at a time. Meeting with local wildlife photo community opened the doors to new opportunities, ideas, friendships, and motivation to dive deeper. So here we are. Nicky, once again, welcome to this interview. Please feel free to begin by sharing a personal journey of a recent photographic experience. We are specifically interested in the shots you produced and everything you can share from the loop of a wildlife photographer. As you speak about your experience, of course, I will ask you here and there different questions. So go ahead and take it away, Nicky.
Hi, nice to see you. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks to Wild Europe and the Wild Talks. Honored to be our first guest to launch the sequence with me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. Happy to be here and to share the happiness and the experience, the fantastic experience which we all get from what we're doing with our hearts.
Great to have you here, Nicky.
I'm pretty much more like, the wildlife photography has been always treated as an individual sport, kind of a time you spend with yourself within the nature and sharing, the thrill with the subjects and the animals you track to photograph. But for me, it's since being part of the local wildlife photographic community, it's more like a team sport now, as we are a large group of individuals, each for himself, but still playing to the same team, developing into a common direction, tracking the same individuals, building heights together, which makes it a bit different for me and quite a better experience, I think.
That's awesome. One of the things that we were really interesting is like telling us a little bit more about this experiences, like a day, for example, a field day, or anything interesting, or shots that you would want to share with us and the experiences behind them.
Okay. The normal, well, it's not a normal day. It's usually a long expected with some preparations, but let me tell you about a project which we developed with a group of my friends and colleagues. It is a hike which we dedicated to winter shots of buzzards. This was the idea behind it when we started. It was, you know, a bit of a wood crafting, probably for a few weeks to build the construction. We built it separately. We built it separately at home. Then we loaded it on a truck and transport to the location. And then when we positioned the on site, we started tracking and waiting for the subjects, let's say it this way. But unfortunately, for the first week, the only visitors were a few jays. And jays and more jays and more jays and only jays, you know. So we have a joke that this is a jay dedicated hide now. It has been successful later on, but it's still known as the jay hide, you know. But of course, we have some very successful jay photographs from this period. Recently, it works quite well for the buzzards. We also have some marsh harriers coming during the summer period. And it's a very good observation point for a lot of animals crossing the same area. Several foxes, several jackals. And having them in front of me for a long time, we've been there for 2 years, more than 2 years probably. I always thought that every day you collect a lot of experience, you observe the behavior of the animals, you can specifically track some smaller details, varied details, you know. And sometimes probably I think that in this practice for years, as we all practice this for, you know, 10, 12 or 20 years, sometimes I think that we have much more experience and observations than the science from the science community. So this knowledge probably should be shared by some way, because our hobby gives us the opportunity to collect this information, but we don't know how to use it. So probably we should search for an option to cooperate with the science community on that. We definitely have a lot of observations and a lot of experience, probably more than them.
Yep. We have a lot of friends here who would be very interested to maybe pitch different ideas, and so and we have folks, scientific folks who I'm sure could be very interested, and we look forward to their comments to this interview. The show, do you have any pictures of jays there, or or
No,
any other pictures for that matter that you took from there? I mean, so we can see some shots.
I think I can show you something. Let me share my screen now.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
It was a long, cold, snowy winter while we're waiting for the buzzards to come. They never came, but the jays were playing all day around. So I was testing with the light, with the speeds, with the settings to be ready for something bigger. And jays were pretty active, This one is not successful, but it has a lot of feeling, And this is what we got for the first probably 2 weeks, and no changes. We were a bit disappointed, but finally it changed for good.
How long has it been since you built the hive?
More than 2 years now.
Did anything change or still J prominent?
We moved the location after the first year. Even the location was successful. At the end of the season, we found a better location. So we relocated the hive on the next season. And it works quite better now. I mean, the number of species which we have is much higher, more interesting, more action, more interaction between the species. We also have some mammals coming. We have a pine marten coming during the night. We have jackals around, foxes. Wow. Yeah.
Show us some of those pictures. Let's see. Let's talk over some of those shots.
Okay. I don't have them probably in the correct order, but probably the story will come with the picture.
Yeah. Oh wow, let's see.
This one is not from this location. This one is from a different place. It is a very interesting wall, a colony of bee eaters, where the owls actually use the holes to build their nests, and surprisingly, they do not attack the bee eaters. They don't use them for food, or at least not very often, not on a daily basis, and not in front of the colony. But these actually live there for 3 or 4 years. We observed them in order that they live within this bee eaters colony. And you can meet them and photograph them from a very close distance at this location. It is also a good location for having photographs of the European rollers, which are also part of the bee eaters colony. Pretty interesting place, very nice location, and good number of species to photograph.
Thank you.
It's at it's at the Danubes.
Okay, thank you for taking this direction on this interview, because I think oftentimes with other folks as well, we discuss the possibility of visiting hives, doing some field photography, doing different ways, having different experiences. So through these hives that you're working with, I can absolutely see it as an opportunity in the future where folks from Wild Europe and other folks for that matter can find opportunities to come and visit, and in such a way that their experiences can get enriched. So I'm so glad you took the conversation this way. So great.
Honestly, it is time now to start exchanging this experience and sharing, as we are pretty much in love with Kirkini. I would like to go and have some time on Shkodra. So there are a lot of places. Trust me. In Macedonia, there are several colonies of vultures as well. Very interesting. There is a village. Yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities. What we don't have is the time, I think, for everything.
Good point. On to the next shot. Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, this is from the most popular location in Bulgaria. It's the southeastern Rhodope Mountains. This one was, posing at the very close. It was probably a few meters away from our position. Actually, to be honest, this is the most exploited, the most popular, but also probably one of the best locations when it comes to the way the hide was built, the way it was run later on. It's very popular. I mean, whole Europe knows about it, and is a very nice location for having the vultures from a very close distance, um, which I will definitely recommend to everyone who doesn't have the experience with these fantastic birds. Um,
Oh,
Honestly, close to the height of the vultures, there are a lot of opportunities for other species to be photographed. This particular one is not from there. It's again from the Danube region. It was a weekend with two of my friends and colleagues. We were, going for just a relaxing weekend. This is what we had in mind. Um, our expectations were for some, probably a few jackals and the bee eaters generally. But what we had probably a few hours after our arrival was this pair. And they played for probably 1 hour in front of us. This was a fantastic
oh,
experience
beautiful,
for me.
beautiful.
Yeah, these were my first very, that's why I'm showing you this, not because of the artwork, but because of the experience and the
Mhm.
story behind the picture. To be honest, I can't really tell the name of the species in English here. I don't know it.
Me neither.
Sorry for that.
We'll need
Yeah,
we'll need help from our friends in the comments later after they
yeah,
see this interview. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure there will be a list of comments on that.
Yeah.
But so I will focus on the location. And this is from our hide, from the water pond of our hide. Mm, the interesting part here is that it looks like you're on a sunset, but you're not. This is in the middle of the day, and the specific yellow comes from the yellow grass and the low light which I had in this particular moment. It was very interesting because it was gone in 10 seconds. So it was like, a beam of light from the sun on the
Mhm.
grass, and the reflection from the water gave these coloring.
I love the light. I love the frame.
Mm. These very, very famous, but very rare. Usually the Rosy Starlings arrive once every 6 years,
Oh.
as as the birds actually follow the migration of a specific grasshopper. And if you don't have enough food, they don't really stop to build the nests. They continue after the migration of the grasshoppers. And there is a theory that each 5 or 6 years, the number of the grasshoppers rises enough so the birds have enough food to feed the youngsters.
Mhm.
So that's why they stop and build the nests within several stone, most of them stone colonies. And because of that, you cannot actually photograph them regularly. It's like, a secret meeting. Have you seen them? Yeah, they arrived. Yeah. Are you sure? I have a friend who told a friend that he saw one, but I'm not quite sure. So let's go and check out. So this is how it happens. And but it's because of the rare species, it's a fantastic experience to have them. It's very important to preserve these colonies
Mm.
from human action around, from construction, etc.
I
And this is where probably our role is important.
absolutely. I regarding the Rose Starling, I was completely lucky. I think it was June, I think. I'm not 100%, either late June or beginning of July, where I by chance I photographed them. They were like in passing, as you said, exactly as you said. People were talking. The word of mouth was all over us. Absolutely. But this is a beautiful
Usually,
shot.
usually it happens in the beginning of June, and it's like,
Okay.
rumors.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Oh,
them? Yeah, I saw them. Yeah, are you sure? Yeah, I have a
it's
picture.
great. It's beautiful. Mhm.
Um,
Here we go.
Rollers, this is one of my favorite because of the beauty of this bird. They're not that rare, but I love them very much. But a decent shot of this species is quite a challenging, actually. This one took me 2 years, and it's still not okay. It's still not perfect. The light is it's too much. This was probably midday, but still, it's my first with open wings. It's my first with in so close contact. So I love it very much.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's why I'm showing you this one.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's another another challenge. Speaking of the hide in southeastern Rhodops from for the vultures, the winter season gives you the opportunity to have the golden eagles as well. There is an old eagle living there for, well, we know her for probably 10 years, and that's her, an old female visiting this particular location every year. She even starts feeding from this place in November until April. So during the whole winter, you can have the golden eagles around. Usually, she arrives at the place with a youngster to show the feeding places and to help them survive the winter. Probably they keep the youngster with them to help it survive the severe weather in winter. By the way, this was a lucky shot. I'll tell you why. Not because of the bird, not because of the ISO and the speed, but because of the snow behind. Because southeastern Rhodope Mountain is a very warm place, and we don't have snow there. We have snowy days, probably 1 or 2 per year, or a week max. So having this skiing on the snow is a lucky shot.
yeah. I also photographed the golden eagle, but in Sofia, in Punar Mountain. With I have collaborated with Dobromir and Georgie. Georgie was very friendly. He was our guide, and that was amazing. It was not. It was snow. Yeah, it was. It was December 29th of 2019. It was such an experience just to look at them. It's amazing.
Yeah. The location you probably you have in mind, I think I know it. It's a different story, The
Right.
winters in this particular place are severe, and once you have the snow, there are a lot of heavy winds there. So during the winter, it's challenging to reach the place, but the shots are fantastic there.
Yeah.
So you're right, yeah.
Mhm.
But this is the old lady from
Oh,
Majarovo, and this is the youngster.
beautiful, beautiful. Oh, that's such a beautiful shot. Very nice work, Nicky here. Very
Uh,
nice.
this one just finished with the breakfast. You can see
Mhm.
below,
Yeah.
there is a kilo of meat inside, just finished and having some rest on top of this pile of stones.
Yeah.
This is very fresh. This is from, I don't know, a week ago. No, 2 weeks ago. The weather was still sunny from the hide. And it was a surprise as we successfully collected a lot of singing birds around, including a lot of magpies and jays, probably 10 or 12 species at the same time. And inevitably, the predator arrived. But she was not interested into hunting them. She came for the bath. But she was so close that I nearly got her in the frame, you know. The tail is outside already, but she was so close, was like, I don't know, less than 2 meters probably. This is on a 400 Canon lens on a crop body on a 7D Mark II.
Yeah.
So you can imagine I nearly focused from this distance. But it's a lucky shot.
Very nice. Yeah, came very nice.
It's a lucky shot here. This one is one of my favorite unicorns. Chasing for years without a successful shot. This one is not perfect, but it's probably my first one from a closer distance. Actually, the Golden Orioles met me with a fantastic person. I have a very good friend from this trip, Terry Eiling, who lives in Bulgaria, in a small village. And he actually tracked a few pairs of these, build small hides around and start observing them every year he has. Probably he's the best person to know the habits of this particular species. Fantastic place and fantastic birds. Love them very much.
Oh, sweet. Sweet. I found it very hard to photograph this birds. They fly so fast.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. And they're very sensitive. I find it extremely sensitive.
Actually, they are very so vulnerable to cuckoos. Cuckoos are tracking them, and they lay eggs into their nests. And as long as the eggs have been laid inside, I think the Orioles cannot recognize their own from the cuckoos. So there is a huge risk for their own eggs if they have cuckoo inside, as the cuckoo growing up will kill and throw away the rest of the chicken from the nests. So this is why the Orioles are very protective, and they are protecting the nest from the cuckoos. You can see them flying around. You know, they're like fantastic flyers, and having an air fight with the cuckoos, chasing them away from the nests.
That's interesting to know. Very good.
Yeah. This one is not about the quality, but you know, the story, the action, and the story behind it. It's from one of my trips. I have a very good and close friend in Lithuania who built a hide for white-tailed eagles, and he invited me a few years ago, and we spent 2 seasons together. Not the whole seasons, but I had some very nice moments with them. It's very interesting to see how early in the morning, on a heavy snow and a severe cold, you can't imagine, it was minus 28. This is probably my worst cold experience. And early in the morning, the light was still off, practically no light. And you could see them coming and waiting around the fish, which we gave at the feeding ground. And it probably just before sunrise, I realized that we have 18 birds around sitting in the snow, 18 of them. And I was happy just to see one, you know. And because they don't have the tools to break the frozen fish, they wait for the gulls and the ravens to break out some parts, and then they chase them in the air and push them to drop the piece. So while waiting, these youngsters were playing with each other, and they found an old, you can see this, they found a toy in the snow, so they were playing around with this for probably 10 to 15 minutes, waiting for the food to be ready.
Amazing. So yeah, going back to the conversation of the hides, what's amazing about hides, I think it gives you the opportunity to photograph species that you otherwise you wouldn't. And I think that getting together, learning about these hides, where they are, I think is very important. Well, one thing we are doing with our friends, we are working with Lorenzo from Switzerland. We are putting a team together to go to safari in Kenya, but because we are 6 of us, I guess we're getting a better price, because as you know, these are not cheap experiences, kind of like putting it that way. So being able to find hides that you also go in groups, we find at least that the price can get lower, and then you can have amazing experiences. Something like that we also are planning to do this December in Spain. So I'm very excited to do it as well. So thank you for sharing this. It seemed that you've been in so many places. That's
Well,
wonderful.
that's so many. Africa is in my list as well. We have a project.
I remember we had a conversation, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
probably the situation will change it. We will have the chance to do it next year. Bee eaters, of course. Everyone has thousands of these.
Amazing bird.
For me, it's the cloud from the butterfly here, which is very nice and interesting. It's the same one, but facing the camera now. I think it's a male who was waiting and calling for the female, attracting her with this bait. This is a marsh harrier from our hide from this spring. I was very happy to see them.
So nice.
This was my first experience having them in front of my camera. Fantastic birds. Very interesting to photograph. They also quite often interact with the buzzards competing on the food. So if you're lucky, you can have some fighting shots.
Those would be amazing.
These are the buzzards.
Yeah.
Speaking of techniques, I'm not an expert, but I'm always trying to keep my speed up, like double the lens length or even more. Depends on the light, but to capture these, I would say that bee eaters are even faster than these. But you need a very, very high speeds.
Yep.
And probably, if you want to freeze them, of course. I was speaking about fighting shots, and here is one.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, awesome. So now it seems that it's morning. That light.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
This one is an early morning.
Yeah.
Not very early, actually. This is, but it was cloudy, so this is probably 9 o'clock, something like that.
Nice.
And they were actually playing. They were not competing for the food. Probably youngsters. And it was quite a long fight. It was like 30 seconds of having, hitting each other. was amazing experience. Your heart's now, it stops for a moment and then starts beating like 120 beats. This one is one I would like to stop for a moment, because this is my first one from this type. I was a friend of mine actually made me into a different type of wildlife photography. This is a camera trap. And we had a conversation. He's pretty much into this. He's much more experienced. You know him, Bogdan Boev.
Oh yeah,
And
much respect. Yep.
yeah, and I was very interesting about this because I knew almost nothing about it. And we were talking about the motion sensors, how they work, what is the role of the motion sensor in this type of photography. And it gave me the idea that okay, everyone can buy one. How about to build one? So I built one, but I was not quite sure if it actually works. It works with my dogs at home. It works on all the tests, but it's a different experience if you put it, on a location. So this is my first successful shot. Well, almost successful, but I'm proud of it.
It's very nice. I love the lighting, how it has a nice light there that goes in and then it fades away while the animal really pops. Really, but yeah, I think it's unique where you place it. I think that's like a like,
It's a different kind of skills. You
yeah,
need a different pack of skills for that as you build a small studio outside.
wow.
So you have to a different type of understanding light, positioning the flashes, etc., etc. But it's probably a subject for a different conversation.
Yeah, very interesting in the future to have that. Yeah, this is all great. This is amazing shots, amazing experiences, and I appreciate you being here, Nicky. Your experience as well. You are a true professional, and your hobby really, I think it just hugs it beautifully. And just having you here, and starting this the Wild Talks session, it's such a joy. So thank you for being part of this.
Thanks to you. It's
Yeah.
a real pleasure. Always happy to be here.
Having said that, guys, any question you have for Nicky? Please tell us the name of that bird.
Yeah.
All, all the
In
best
English.
in English. Take care, everybody. Take care.